welcome to Tearlament. Now, while the deck has basically been slaughtered on the recent ban list that was posted today, I think the deck definitely still has something to it even in this current format. It just might require some interesting cards. As for this list, is pretty heavily based off some OCG lists. That's where I picked up, for example, Hellshadal Hollow, and it's sort of a not really danger tier, but a more combo-oriented version of the deck that still runs to like these Ishizu cards pretty heavily. It's definitely a lot less consistent than the old list, but it can definitely still kind of get up to its old things if you get going. As for the specific card choices, I'm running stuff like Triple Fenrir, not only because it lets you search one of the last few remaining unlimited Tearlaments, Kashtira, it's also great going second, something the deck definitely is going to struggle a little bit more when you have Havness at 1. And so it's just a nice consistency booster that helps you go second as well. Speaking of, I'm running triple Tearlaments Kashtira, as it's one of the handful of remaining Tearlaments that's not limited or banned, and it's a pretty strong card. It's a body on the field, it mills when it's both summoned and sent to the grave, it's very versatile and very searchable. Similar, Reinhardt is still great. Sure, it's not a one-card rule Kolos because Kitlos is gone, but it's still a very strong card by getting any Tearlaments you want in the graveyard. Then I'm running triple Diviner of the Herald. This is a very strong normal summon that can actually dump the Ishizu cards, so while they're all limited, this lets you pretty consistently get them in the grave anyways. And it's just a very nice card. It's also a tuner that bumps itself to level 6, so you can make a Baron de Fleur. Then we're running the remaining Tearlaments at 1, because you have to. You know, it's a shame we can't run them at 3 anymore, but they're still necessary. Then I'm running a small amount of dangers because the deck is still a little inconsistent and these definitely help. They also help with swarming. I'm running double Nessie, 1 Mothman and 1 Jackalope. Then the Ishizu lineup that we're so loud to. Then I'm running triple King of the Swamp. This is how you make stuff like Rule Kolos and also lets you make some really strong monsters like Grapha Dragon Overlord. So it's very flexible and you can also search Polymerization with it, which has some very interesting uses in this deck. Then I'm running Hellshadal Hollow. This card's relevant because it's Shadal, and it lets you mill, because when it's sent to the grave by a card effect, you can send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of different original attributes among monsters on the field. So going first, you can mill anywhere from 1 to like 4 or 5 cards, and going second, you can mill much more. Then Shadal Beast, because it's also Shadal, it has good typings, and it lets you draw a card when it's milled, and this post-banlist version of the deck really needs as many cards in the hand as it can get. Triple Perlino, because it's Perlino, amazing card. I'm surprised it didn't get hit at all. I'm running double Scream. I'm tempted to run 3, but this main deck was really tight and there wasn't much I wanted to cut yet. It's an amazing card still, especially now that you need as many mills as you can possibly get. Terraforming to search Perlino, Flush Burial because it's super versatile and can dump whatever you want. Then I'm running double Polymerization. Now you can search this off King of the Swamp. The reason why I'm running 2 is because it makes cards like Guardian of Chimera playable, and this helps a ton going second, something I feel the deck is really going to struggle with in the new format. You can also do funny things because if you use Polymerization to fusion, say, Dragostapelia with Rukolos comes right back. Then I'm running double Celiac and 1 Meta Noise as a trap lineup because they're a nice interruption. They also help consistency. Then, as for the extra deck, I'm running IP and Unicorn, just a generic links. They get stuff off the field you don't want on there anymore, and getting more interruptions is nice. I'm running a rank 4 package of Baguska, Abyssal, and Redoer. Baguska and Abyssal are just generally strong. The Abyssal is definitely a lot worse now, but Redoer is especially interesting because this lets you trigger Shiren and stuff like that, and so it's very good to help consistency. And that's really the thing of this deck. Post-banlist, it just lost a ton of consistency. I'm running Zeus because of how many Xyz I'm running. Then a pretty standard fusion lineup, but I am running stuff like Eltrala Winda because the deck kind of likes having better end boards and it has more extra deck space, so Winda's very nice. I am, as previously stated, running Grapha Dragon Overlord because you can summon this King of the Swamp and it's an Omni Negate that also discards cards from your hand, so you can trigger Tearlaments and Ishizu cards. Very versatile, and if you get it out early in a combo, it insulates you from hand traps. Guardian Chimera is amazing, breaks boards, draws cards, just very useful. And the standard cards of Mud Dragon, Dragostapelia, Rukolos, and Kaleido Heart, as well as previously stated Baron de Fleur, which you can make with a Diviner of Herald and Annie level 4, which is most of the deck. And getting a big boss monster like this is very nice. Now, one little engine I'm not running, you'll notice, is the Dracosac and Cherubini engine, which was toyed around in the OCG. I played with it and it just didn't feel very good. It lets you consistently get King of the Swamp in the grave, but it doesn't really help you actually fusion summon anything, and it just clogs up a bunch of extra deck space. Maybe, you know, I'm just not gonna have deck builder take advantage of it, but for my testing, it did not feel very good at all. And I'd rather play something like Baguska that's going to come up a lot more. Now let's go into some test hands so you can see what the deck can do even after a massacre of a ban list. So what does this deck actually do in gameplay now to the ban list? Well, pretty much the same thing as before, just a little bit less well. This is an opener of Havnis, Celiac, Scream, Shiren, and Nessie. And to start off with, I'll just go ahead and fire Scream, then fire Nessie, to get a card to hand, summon it, draw, use Havnis effect, fusion summon these two into Garura, then use Shiren's effect, dumping a bunch of cards in the grave, triggering Scream, just getting all the mills going. I got King of the Swamp in the grave, which is great. You know, use Agido, use all of the normal stuff to just dump as much in the grave as possible, because you really need to make up for that lack of Ishizu millers. Now make Rulikalos with King of the Swamp, and make Redoer. Then go ahead and detach, trigger Shiren, and go ahead and fusion summon these two into Mudra and the Swap, then make IP Masquerena, then I normal summon Merly, dump 2, trigger Beast, draw, actually draw a field spell, and so as for the ascendant board, I have Celiac, Heralds, Merly, Rulikalos, Scream, Shiren in the hand, IP, and Redoer. So already this is pretty decent. You know, I have Rulikalos' effect, I can tag with IP, I can negate with Celiac. But as an example of what you can do when your opponent starts activating cards, because I have a lot in the grave to fuse with, like King of the Swamp and Shadow Beast. Let's say, after I go ahead and use Redoer's effect, my opponent just summons any card. Then I can go ahead, activate Scream, and just mill a bunch of cards, trigger a Hollow effect, trigger Scream again to search a trap card. This get another card in hand to discard of some like Unicorn. Actually mill a Guido or the Kelbeck. And after milling, I can go ahead and use Celiac's effect. Then negate their monster, destroy my Merly, fusion summon, and I can use the Shadow Beast to make Winda. And when this is done, you can pop a card. Of course, you'd never pop as a normal summon Guido, but this is an example of the first summon. So this board looks a lot better, because we have Winda on the field, which is a significant improvement. And I still have Unicorn in back pocket, I would still have Rulikalos' effect. So this board can really get into a grinding game, and doesn't look that different from what it used to, as also, by this point, a lot of the Shizu Shufflers will be in the graveyard that I can go ahead and use, so this is a very tough board to crack. Now here's a hand where you can see really Diviner of the Heralds shine, and what it really can bring to the table for the deck as far as consistency and power. And to start off with, I'm going to use Mothman because I have 2 Diviner, so I can afford to. I can trigger a Hollow to just dump a card, I dump Kashtira, then I normal summon Diviner, dump Kelbeck, trigger Kelbeck, mill 5, trigger Havnis, go ahead and fusion some of these in King of the Swamp to make Rulikalos, make Barone. Then I use TEARLAMENTS Kashtira, Bayish Fenrir, mill 3, trigger Agido, mill 5, trigger Celiac, and Rhinoheart, get Celiac in hand, or get Shaylin, and go and use Rhinoheart, just the kind of standard TEARLAMENTS combo things, use Merely, fusion summon to Garura, make IP, draw, trigger Perlino, get Havnis in hand, then I can use Shiren's effect, mill, make Redoer, and you can see this is important because I can use Redoer, then detach Shiren to fusion summon again, getting into a Grapha Dragon Overlord. So, this is a board of basically 2 Omni Negates, the summon negation, and with Grapha's effect I can discard, say, you know, TEARLAMENTS Kashtira if I want to try and high roll mill, I have Havnis' mill effect, I have IP for Unicorn, Perlino. So this hand and board is really kind of high roll, but that's this whole deck at this point. We're back to the days of Casino Tier. But, as with this list, is you aren't as reliant on dangers and missing of them, because you can still make these crazy 7 negate boards just off of milling a bunch. So in conclusion, even just from this first couple hours of testing, I think TEARLAMENT isn't leaving the meta completely. It's not going to be the best deck, I think, but I definitely think it's worth looking into. And especially in this list, I think Diviner of the Herald has a ton of potential in the deck, just being able to be a big level tuner that can dump the Shizu cards. And stuff like Fenrir is very nice. Overall, I definitely give this version of the deck a shot if you think that TEARLAMENT is completely dead, because I don't think it is. And it'll definitely be interesting to see how this format ends up panning out in the end. Thank you for making it this far into the video, If you liked it and want to see more in the future, please feel free to subscribe or leave any feedback you have in the comment section below.